Hi, in today's video we're going to talk about Jordan Peterson and his viewpoint on the big five personality traits. He actually had a lecture where he talked about how to be successful, and in the lecture he mentions the five personality traits. So we're going to take a quick look at that clip, and then I'm going to expand a little bit about the big five, because just to give some context, I think the context will help you have a better understanding about how to use the big five personality traits in working out how best to approach your own life in a strategic manner, which will make your life easier and more successful.
So the questions are something like, well, all right, you're going to have to put some effort into your life, and you need to be motivated to do that. And so what are the potential sources of motivation? Well, you could think about them in the big five manner. You know, if you're extroverted, you want friends. If you're agreeable, you want an intimate relationship. If you're disagreeable, you want to win competitions. If you're open, you want to engage in creative activity. If you're high neuroticism, you want security. Okay, so those are all sources of potential motivation that you could draw on, that you could tailor to your own, your own personality.
So first of all, what's the big five? The big five are probably the most popular psychological testing parameters. And you have to remember, anything that is a personality test is subject to being subjective and can change, but tends to be things like being an introvert, being an extrovert, being kind of neurotic, being open, being conscientious. They're the big five. And really the thing is to play to your strengths. Years ago, the general suggestion for people in self-improvement was to try and work on your weaknesses to become more of an all-rounder. And what research is showing us more and more is that it doesn't really work. Getting back to what Jordan Peterson was saying about your IQ, it's very hard to teach an old dog new tricks. Once you've grown up, you've got certain capacities, and it's hard to change. So you might as well work with your strengths. And I could kind of add and expand that by saying that what he's kind of suggesting here with, say, using the big five is, if you're an extrovert, try and do things which involve people. You're going to find a lot of satisfaction and success working with people. If you're an introvert, do a job or live a lifestyle that gives you some me time. If you're a very highly neurotic person, try not to put yourself in a stressful position if possible. If you're a very open person, be in a job or a life situation that allows you to express your feelings and your thoughts with other people. This is why office work is a killer for some people. And if you are conscientious, well, I wouldn't go into politics, for example, because it's not a place for conscientious people. So you have to think, what kind of business am I doing? If you're a liar, for example, and you're defending some terrible criminal, you can't be too conscientious. You got to duty to do your thing to protect that person, even though they might not be a nice person. So go according to your strengths. That's the basic thing there. So we have to use the big five in a very strategic way. For example, if you're a very agreeable person, then supporting jobs like medical jobs, for example, or teaching jobs will be good for you. But a confrontational job like a sales job or a job perhaps in an office that has a lot of stress mightn't be so good, because an agreeable person wants to fit in and wants to feel non-confrontational. They don't like confrontation. If you're an extrovert, you need to be in a job where you're dealing with people on an everyday basis, rather than a job when you're on your own all the time. So, for example, working in a lab would be a terrible job for an extrovert. Openness to experience. A person is very open to experience, should ideally be in a creative job, although they could, of course, be in, say, a scientific job as well. But creativity has to be there. A lot of people who are open to experience will have difficulty in office jobs. They really need a job with a lot of variety. And if they work in an office job, then they need to be doing something creative like designing, for example. Conscientiousness, as I've noted earlier, is if you're very conscientious, law, for example, or high-level corporate work or politics will probably be difficult, because usually you can't be the most conscientious person to work in these areas. And finally, neuroticism. Well, if you get stressed out very quickly, you should really try to avoid certain jobs, whatever it is that triggers your neuroticism. So the important thing here, how to use the big five strategically, is simply to use your common sense and kind of see, when I look at these five traits, where am I in these traits? You can do psychological tests on this, but even you just use your common sense and observe yourself, and you'll see where you are here. and try and pick careers and lifestyles that fit in with the sort of person that you are, rather than trying to force yourself into something. So let's take agreeableness again, for example. If you're high in agreeableness, you won't like a job like a sales job, for example. But if you're low in agreeableness, you might be fine with a job like a sales job or a job where you have to deal with difficult customers. So for each one of these, you look at the range and think to yourself, you know, am I high in openness or low in openness? Am I high in extroversion or low in extroversion? Am I high in conscientiousness or low? Am I high in neuroticism or low? Because there's different types of profession for every kind of person out there, and different lifestyles for every type of person. So what Jordan Peterson's really getting at here is that pick careers and lifestyles which play to your strengths, rather than careers and lifestyles which play to your weaknesses. If you play to your strengths, you're going to be more effective, you're going to be more successful, and you're going to be a lot happier. If you like, please like, subscribe for this video. I'll talk to you next time.